Vaccinate and stay safe. Ouch. Yes, it hurts, but it's only minor compared to the pain and suffering that you have when you have a disease that can be prevented by vaccines. There's much controversy about vaccines and whether or not we should vaccinate our children, but there's definitely a need to protect them from disease. And as a parent myself, and as well as being an EMT, I've done plenty of research to try to figure out whether I needed to vaccinate my children. I even have a friend that tried to convince me that vaccines were not effective and that they were dangerous. So it caused me to investigate and to research what I was going to do with my kids. I found extensive evidence through my research that leads me to stand firm behind vaccinating my children, not only for their health, but for the health of the world around me. We will explore exactly what a vaccine is, what it does, what the risks are for our children and our community, as well as discover the advantages to vaccines. People who do not vaccinate and don't put their children through this one little painful event put their whole, not only their children, but their whole community at risk for reintroducing and spreading deadly diseases. A vaccine is a substance that is also called an immunization, same thing. It contains antigens of the disease that help stimulate our immune system to produce antibodies. Those antibodies cause the cells to remember those diseases, and if it's reintroduced to our system, those antibodies can fight the organism when they're introduced later. What can they prevent? They can prevent things like mumps and measles, hepatitis, influenza, polio. There's 14 diseases that the 10 childhood vaccines prevents against. Permanent damage from these diseases can include deafness, brain damage, lameness, blindness, sometimes death. So the exposure to these diseases is a great risk for our children. Measles, for example, is a deadly airborne virus that can produce symptoms like a cold, such as runny nose, coughing, sneezing, not feeling good. And after about the third day, they develop a rash that looks like this, which can even be in their eyeballs. And it's extremely painful. They can have complications from this disease like encephalitis, death, and pneumonia. And you can see that the complications from the disease are pretty common. 2 in 1,000 can result from death, 1 in 1,000 encephalitis, and 6 in 1,000 severe pneumonia. And the vaccine can produce a severe reaction in some cases, but it's 1 in 1 million. So you can see the risk for the disease is a whole lot higher than a vaccine. Not only can an unvaccinated child be at risk, but a whole community can be put at risk. You can have a child that's sick, coughing, sneezing, runny nose, they go to the doctor's office, they might get some antibiotics, they go home, a couple days later they get really sick, and they end up in the emergency room. They've exposed the doctor's office and all the people in the doctor's office. They've exposed now the ER, the staff, the patients that are there. Then they have to be admitted to the hospital. So then you have more staff members and patients being exposed to the measles, which could have been prevented by a vaccine. So not only is it dangerous for the children that can actually contract the disease, but it's dangerous for excuse me, it's dangerous for the community and all the people around. We have to protect our future. These kids are our future. If we don't have them, we don't have a future. You never know when the kid in front of you that's in the grocery store that's coughing and maybe looks like he has a fever, he could have a cold, but if he's not vaccinated, he could have the measles. And you're putting yourself and your children at risk for catching those if you're exposed. I sure would want to be protected, wouldn't you? We must ensure the safety of our children in our cities, too, as we vaccinate. As you can see, vaccinations can greatly decrease the amount of cases of the disease in the United States. Vaccine for measles was licensed in 1963, and you can see by the graph the extreme drop in number of cases in America. When they were having over 500,000 on a regular basis, it dropped down to almost zero. In 2008, the Center for Disease Control reported there was 132 cases of measles in America. The year before, it was 32. So you can see where the drop in vaccine usage increases the amount of the disease. We can't stop vaccinating yet. because there's still a disease. Unless we can eliminate the disease worldwide, we'll not be able to stop vaccinating. And you can see in this is a diagram of the life cycle of a disease and a vaccine. The red line indicates the disease, and the blue line indicates the vaccine. And you can see as on number 5, as the vaccine usage decreases, on the red hump, on number 6, the cases increase. So unless we can get rid of that wavelength and completely eliminate the disease worldwide, we can't stop vaccinating. You might say, what about the side effects I've heard about on Oprah or on Dr. Phil? Their autism and brain damage. Well, there are risks with vaccines. There's risks of side effects. There's risks of death, disability, but there's also a greater risk for those kind of things from the disease. So we have to look at what is a higher risk, whether it's the disease or the vaccine. And we looked at measles a while ago, and the 1 in 1 million chance of a reaction to the vaccine versus a 1 in 1,000 chance for the disease. I would take the vaccine over the disease any day. And the likelihood of those reactions are so rare, and they're so much less serious than the disease itself. And the advantage of staying healthy wins over the possible side effects that could be experienced with a vaccine. There's so many misconceptions of vaccines. We have to broaden our scope beyond the media and find the scientific facts. Because if there's no science, there's no truth, and we have to find scientific facts. We must vaccinate our kids. Although some reactions do occur with a vaccine, they pale in comparison to the future health of our children and our future grandchildren. And while there are many reservations about vaccines, whether they be about their effectiveness or what they can cause, you must all agree that vaccinating your children is important, and it should be a priority in America. Not only is it essential for their health and their well-being, but it's essential to ensure the safety and health of our future. An outbreak of one of these diseases in America could kill thousands very quickly. Now that you know what a vaccine is and its benefits to your children and yourselves, take advantage of them. Pull out your kid's shot record. Look at the guidelines put forth by the CDC. Make sure that all the check marks in their shot record is checked. Know that when you have a check mark in a box, you've taken a step to ensure the safety and health of your child. And know that you're ensuring the health and future health of your children as well as your grandchildren when you vaccinate.